My name's Sally. I'm going to be your guide, so I'm going to be with you this morning. Our driver is Gary, important man. Without Gary, that you need to see. We will certainly try and pack in as much as we possibly can this morning. One thing I do need to just say though is that the changing the guard at Buckingham Palace this month, it doesn't happen every day, it happens every other day. And today is the right day, and it should happen today, but soldiers don't like getting wet. They wear big black furry hats. If it rains, then unfortunately it gets cancelled. Area, in fact. This is probably the most heavily populated of the London boroughs, and certainly it's the richest. More people have more money in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, to right here, than any other borough. If you look on the corner of the streets where you see the name of the road, just above it, it will tell you which borough we're in. Just up there on the right now, right above Gary's head. It tells us the name of the street and the borough that we're in. Now, Queen Victoria, she was our longest reigning monarch, and she reigned from 1837 right through till 1901, and she was born here in Kensington at Kensington Palace. And it was there that she was woken to be told that she had become Queen of England when her uncle had died. I think some of you will be going to Oxford Street, which is the best choice for the station. So if you're going to travel around London, you will quite likely use the Underground or the Tube, the same thing, Tube, Underground, just two different words for the same thing. And you look for that red circle with the blue line, and that's telling you you're at an Underground station. Talking about, this is where Queen Victoria was born. It's also where Princess Diana lived after her divorce from Prince Charles. If you look to your left through the trees, it's not that easy to see because it's right in the middle of the park. Gary slowed down for us. You'll be able to see the Golden Gates and the entrance there to the palace. Saw it. Queen Victoria, she was very, very happy together. They had 9 children, but unfortunately Albert died when he was very young. Queen Victoria was devastated, and she had many memorials built to Albert, and one of them is coming up on our left, where we will do a photo stop.
Memorial for Prince Albert.
This is the Royal Albert Hall, where many of London's concerts are held. A massive structure.
The Albert Memorial was literally falling to pieces, and so a couple of years ago they spent £10 million on it to renovate it. A group of buildings shortly will be on our left, and Knightsbridge has one famous department store, though this store isn't open today. This is Harrods. Harrods is the big store where you can buy just about anything, and we're going to see it as we drive forward. We have to just look back over our right shoulder, just behind these buildings here. You will be able to see. Sort of 100 years ago, found this very, very scary. Thought it was very frightening. Terracotta building of Harrods with the flag on it there. On the right, another department store, Harvey Nichols, and on the left, this hotel is the Hyde Park Hotel. Our present Queen and her sister, Princess Margaret, who unfortunately died last year, they used to come to the Hyde Park Hotel for dancing and piano lessons. We're coming up to Hyde Park Corner, and this is certainly one of London's busiest traffic junctions. On the left, this is Hyde Park, and we will follow Hyde Park for a little way. But Hyde Park Corner is where many roads converge, and much of Hyde Park Corner is dedicated to one of our war heroes, the Duke of Wellington, he was the victor at the Battle of Waterloo. That was in 1815. And if you look in front of you to the right, you can see a very large archway with a black statue on top. The black statue is Peace. You can see her holding her olive branch there. And the archway is the Wellington Arch, dedicated to the Duke of Wellington. These are the Horse Guards going from their barracks that we just saw
Oh, so that's why you didn't see.
over to the place where they are stationed at Horse Guards Parade for the rest of the day. On the left, the house was given to the Duke all the way up to the top. We have 9 royal parks. Large is the Grosvenor Hotel, and this stands on the site of what was the Grosvenor Mansion. The Grosvenor family, headed by Gerald Grosvenor, who is the Duke of Westminster, is the richest man in this country, which is known as Mayfair. If ever you've played the game of Monopoly,
Yes.
you know the dark blue squares?
Yeah.
Well, they're the most expensive ones.
Mayfair.
Park Lane, this is Park Lane that we're on now, and paved over. This is Speaker's Corner. This is where people can come, they stand on a little box so that they raise themselves up and talk about anything they feel they would like. As long as they don't ask for money and they don't sweat. Odd people talking about some very odd things, but if they feel it's important, it's their right. Unfortunate past, this is where public hangings took place right up until the 1700s. Thousands of people would turn up to watch a public hanging. And also on your right, you're going to see Marble Arch. Marble Arch at one time stood outside Buckingham Palace. And if you just look up to the side of Marble Arch, there's 3 little round windows. And those were the windows into a room that was used as a police station. The police would use it to look out onto Speaker's Corner to make sure all was in order. The road straight ahead of us is Oxford Street, so I'm sure that's where some of you will end up later on. You will find the major department stores there, including Selfridges and John Lewis. And next door to Selfridges is the largest Marks and Spencer's. I think there's about 5 floors of Marks and Spencer's there, so well worth a visit. Some wonderful red terracotta buildings here on the right, and at the very bottom on the corner is a butcher's shop. Very unusual to have a small butcher's shop in the centre of London, would be more common in the suburbs. Audrey Hepburn used to live in this area for a short while, and she used to particularly like their sausages. Another one of these squares, this is Berkeley Square. The very famous song sung by a lady called Jenny Lind, called A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square. You'll have to believe me, because I'm not going to sing it for you, because that would really ruin your Sunday morning. To the left is Bruton Street, and this is where our present Queen was born in 1921. Abdicated from the British throne because he wanted to marry the American divorcee Wallis Simpson. Because she was a Catholic and she was divorced, he wasn't allowed to marry her and remain king, so he chose to leave the throne, and therefore his brother, our present Queen's father, became king, and so the line changed slightly. And I want you to look to the right in just a moment. The next street on the right, look to the very bottom, you'll see a red brick building with a clock on the top, and that is St James's Palace, right at the bottom there. That is the home today. Looking to your left, you see a very fine building, which is today the Royal Academy of Arts, and this is Burlington House. Now, this was the home of the Duke of Burlington, and Piccadilly was lined with houses like this. There were 4 or 5, but it's actually dedicated to a man called Lord Shaftesbury, who did a great deal of work for the poor in London in the 1800s. And so its real name is the Angel of
Piccadilly
Christian Charity.
Circus.
There's the statue on your right. And on your left, you'll be able to see some of the illuminated advertising, which has always been associated with Piccadilly. Straight on, that would bring us to Leicester Square, and this is where you would find the cinemas, the large cinemas. Very popular whenever there is a big sporting event. Yesterday when we came by here, they were queuing to get the best seats to watch the cricket. Food used to be the offices of the White Star Line. This is where people would have gone to buy their ticket to travel on the Titanic. Collection of European art from the 12th right through to the early 20th century. It's a huge collection of art. We are about to go round Trafalgar Square. So it'll be through your left window if you want to take it around you all the time. And I think it's working. Looking to your left then, you can see the tall column there with Admiral Lord Nelson on the top. So that's the Mall you're looking down with Buckingham Palace at the bottom. I'm afraid we're not allowed to take coaches down there at all. All of our government offices. On the right is the offices of the Admiralty. And if you look over the gateway, you know that it's got something to do with sea because you've got proper seahorses. The front of them is a horse, back of them a fish. This, like many buildings in London, recently been cleaned. Right up until the 90s, buildings like this on the left, which was the War Office, later on today. And on the right, these are the Cabinet offices, where the main members of the government meet on a regular basis. But also in front of you, the black railings are the entrance to Downing Street. Look down the street and just over to the right, and you'll be looking at number 10 Downing Street and number 11 Downing Street. Number 10 is traditionally where the Prime Minister lives, number 11 the Chancellor. But apparently they've swapped because number 11 is a little bit bigger and Tony Blair, our Prime Minister, now has 4 children, so he needs a little bit more space.